यन परिपूर्ण गुणार्णवाय विस्फोदय स्थितितोलय नियति प्रताय ज्ञान प्रताय विबुधासुर सौख्य दुःख सत्कारणाय विदताय नमो नमस्ते। यो विप्रलिम्ब विपरीत मति प्रबोधान वादान निरस्य कृतवान भुवि तत्त्ववादं सर्वेश्वरो हरिरीति प्रतिपातकं आनन्दतीर्थमुनिवर्यं नमामि। पूज्याय राघवेन्द्राय सत्यधर्मरताय च भजतां कल्पवृक्षाय नमतां कामधेनुवे। सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावतीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। माण्डुक्योपनिषदः शान्तिपाठः। ओम भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवांसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः। I think there was some disconnection. I think it's okay. Vyashema devahitam yadayuhu swastina indro vrudrashavaha swastina pusha vishwavedaha swastina ksharyo arishtanemihi swastino brihaspati datatu. Om shanti shanti shanti. Welcome friends, I think once again to this great Mandukyopanishad. In fact, last week we were talking about the psychological and psychoanalytical aspects of this Turiya and as well as our Dhyana, Shravana, Manana, Nitidhyasana, whatever we are talking about. They are not something in the air and something can be practiced. Of course, with a lot of discipline and initially there will be some difficulties that can be overcome. But basically, when we see it is psychology, psychoanalysis and all, and very often we have been telling, because that every time when we find a new version of ourselves in everyday experience, after going through the three stages of Jagratasthana, Swapnasthana and Sushuptasthana, we are evolving every day. That's what we said. And we were evolving, we said we will evolve to such an extent, finally, the desires will not have any meaning to us. So that's what we were talking about. See, one of the very difficult aspects, in this case, one of the very important as well as very subtle aspects all of us have to notice is to talk about, we should not have any desire, we should not have any ambition, and because finally you have experienced everything, nothing is required. When we say that, it has to come naturally to us. We should not do deliberately. See, we should not suppress any of the feelings and all. So in this context only, I try to bring about, because this is a very, very subtle line, it could cause, a lot of other problems as well. When we talk about it, it's not that when you are living in this world, you will have desires and after all, you have to live in this world. It's not that, you are in some other world, you are not in the moon or Mars or Venus, you are in this earth. So therefore, the 2-3 aspects I just want to bring about, even the youngsters, when they take it, they should not take it to such an extent, they deliberately go about it in such a way. It has to come naturally as a matter of being. For instance, I will just give a small outline on this. So when it is a psychology and psychoanalysis and all, we should appreciate the lot of Western psychologists and psychoanalysts who have taken a lot of interest into our Upanishadic concept as well as our the Sanatana Dharma concept. They have also done the research themselves, starting from Sigmund Freud. is one of the greatest, the person who has made a change in the history of the entire universe, in the last century. In fact, the 19th century. And followed by him, Adler, and then we talked about Gustav Jung, because called Jung, we talked about him, earlier also. When they have all done, they have gone into the psychology of the entire human being. One of the questions, one of the things, if you remember, in all our Upanishadic talks, we are telling there is no free will. We think, we can do anything, whatever we want, because today I want to go here and I will do, so if I want to carry out a plan or if I want to do something differently, I have got a free will, I can do that. But how am I going to do perfectly? That is what the question, because most of us are asking. But we also said, because as per our Sanatana Dharma concept, particularly from Tattvavada concept, there is no free will. This has been, looked into by all the top psychologists and psychoanalysts of the world. Not from our point of view, because as we have discussed in the Upanishads and all, they have seen from the human being aspect as it is, evolution. From mere physiologists, they have turned into philosophers and they have turned into psychologists and psychoanalysts. In fact, Sigmund Freud, the credit goes to him. He brought the entire concept among so much of opposition from a lot of practicing physicians at that point of time. I mean, it is only, we would be wondering, how much, you would have had from a lot of, vested interest everywhere and all. When they have gone about, they have found out two things. We are all bundle of complexes, what we have carried over for a long period of time. And we have got our own idiosyncrasies and our own belief, apart from religion or, what the parents have told you and all. We have come with a lot of bundle of all these things. When we are as a being, as a personality, we are bundle of our complexes, our own insecurities, and our own sort of deficiencies, which we do not want to show outside, because we always carry another image in front of the society. See, we have not broken our barriers, because we have got something inside, because that core, is every one of us have kept our core intact, because that keeps us going. That core is, we can call it ego in a different concept. But apart from that, that is necessary. Without that, we could not have worked in this world. See, when you go from one place to another, maybe when you are going from India to USA, the cultural differences are there. The sort of, the societal differences are there. The way you have to present yourself, interact and act, everything is different. But you are used to a particular society and all. But then you go and try to adapt. But your original nature being what you are, how you have been brought about, you try to put another mask on yourself. Likewise, you are doing. But at that point of time, what is doing it? You are trying to suppress your real self and your real comfort. Your comfort zone is something different. But you are trying to make yourself, appear to be comfortable in the given circumstances. When it happens, normally what happens? Complexes develop. See, because there is some inner urge to be, have your comfort zone as much as possible, to your comfort. After all, we all have a comfort zone in our house, the way we deal with it, and in the place, where we are there and all. Even from south to north, when you go there, there is a little disturbance in the comfort zone and all. And likewise, when we are being brought about, we have been told, because these are how you have to behave. The society expects from you and all. Our nature may be different. But then, we try to conform and try to put up additional figures, rather synthetic figure, in front of the society, so that we appear to be conforming to what the society expects from us. So in that context, what happens? The complexities internally develop. We are not aware of that. While we are showing smiling and all, very often when you smile, are you able to fully enjoy the smile in your internally in your mind? It's a question mark. You may not be always. Sometimes you will be putting up a smile, because that's what is required at that point of time and all. This is nothing to be worried about and all. This is what the entire all of us are doing day on and day out. Therefore, when you are someone is trying to say, you will have to give up your desires and all, it's not possible. Since we are bundle of complexes and we have got our own desires internally, because there are certain desires, you can't croak out all your desires.
If you croak out some of your desires, it may not be acceptable to the society or your family or your immediate surroundings. So you will be keeping it in the core of your heart. Or there could be some insecurities, what you are having. It may not be really insecurity, but because you might have had a reason to have that insecurity because of your past experience, you will be carrying on those insecurities in you. So when you are having all those things, within the complex of all the bundle of insecurities, all the bundle of suppressed desires, all the bundle of conforming to the society, when you are trying to have a desire, it is conditioned by all these things. Therefore, it is not a free will. So, free will is when you don't have any barrier, whatever you want to do freely. That is not possible because you are conditioned by everything. For instance, in a lighter vein, you see, in our younger days, we have been told by our parents or the elders, don't go there, you don't know. Even while you are studying, because the subject what you are going to take, you will be guided by someone else. I think you don't know where your interest lies, because it is not your area. And they will tell, where you should focus and all. And everywhere we have been told you don't know. Someone else will tell you and all. Okay, you continued with that, and finally, you got through your education also, and you take up a job. At that point of time, also, they will be advising, look, this is not the good job for you, you should go for this. Likewise, and the story doesn't end. And then once you get married, initially, all, because inanities are there, and you are in a sort of a hemisphere where, it's all a blob, because it's like a bubble. After that, when you come into the reality of life, and you will be told by your wife, you don't know. There are so many things. Nor you may also be thinking about your wife. She doesn't know so many because you are used to particular way of life. That is mutual. It is not something and all. So that will be there. And after some time, once you have a children, I think they come and you are in the world. When I was going to the school, I was like this. My teacher was like this and all. But your children, they will have a different atmosphere. They also will tell you don't know. But effectively, once you grow old, I think your grandson will also be waiting to tell you that you don't know. But philosophically, if you take, because you have not known, no one has accepted that you know something. You don't know. But philosophically, if you take, you must be thinking, what a great Upanishadic concept. All these people are telling us, right from our parents, like our family and the children and grandchildren. We don't know because that's how finally we have come to the Upanishads. That's why in Kenopanishad, that the Guru says, "Na vidmo, I don't know. I will only give you direction. You should know about it." We will have to philosophically take like this. But if you really see your life, analysis of your life, everyone must, even you can't tell your children based on your experience, it has to be done and done. Basically, your experience, your non-experience of their experience will not be helpful in taking your advice. So no one can explain with our experience someone's, my inexperience can't explain someone else's. Same way, their experience can't tell, inexperience can't tell us what is my experience because we will not be able to appreciate. And it is a generation gap and all gender gap and all gaps, that keep on coming up and all. So in this context, when you are having internally, all your core intact, if you are trying to wantonly suppress, some of the desires, you may have desire, which maybe others may not think, it is a good desire, but you may have a genuine interest in some other things. But you should not give up. If you try to deliberately suppress, it will result in blockages. It will result into blockages and converted into diseases, and it will be sort of, the other infirmities that will be coming into in our thinking process also. Therefore, when we say, because just to be on cautionary side, when we said we should not have any desire in the sense, because I need a cup of water now, and maybe after half an hour I would be comfortable to have a cup of tea, and all, better have it, not that, you should not give up the desire like this and all. You have it, you have a normal way of living, normal way of getting the things, and normal way of enjoying the life, you do it. In that process, what will all of them will not mean. See, what is the wealth? You may have a big bank account, assuming you've got some few crores in your bank account and all. That will give you psychological satisfaction is you are having it, it's there. But basically, you should not own the wealth. Wealth should own you. See, you should not be bothered, because if the bank account is, 5 crores or 500 rupees, it should not affect you. So only that should warn you. You should not want anything. All other things should warn you. When you have that naturally, breaking your barriers, but finally, when you don't have anything to be protected, because we all are protecting, we are all having barriers. No one can say we don't have any barriers. Even the saints have barriers. The saints will also, because to that extent, they will take, and otherwise they will just keep quiet and they will mind their business. Because they think, because our pursuit is something different. Where it is comfortable, they will say everyone has got a comfort zone. But the thing is, when you are open minded, when you are able to accept everything, that is when we say in the likes, dislikes, what we want and what we don't want, everything when you are able to accept, that is the breaking the barrier. It has to come naturally to us. So therefore, there should not be a deliberate process. When we are evolving every day, when we find a new version of ourselves, in the Jagrata Sthana, it should be a natural process. We do not have to get into a deliberate effort. This I just wanted to bring a cautionary thing, because people should not think, I will have to give up a desire and the sense of my well. If you are going to enjoy a good sort of a cup of ice cream, better do it, because it's not those things. You need it. After that, you have to keep the body and mind going. If the body is kept going, only the mind can be kept going. So all those things will be there, but it will not matter. If you don't get ice cream also, I think you will not mind. You will take some other thing cold, whatever is required. Likewise. So therefore, this is a natural way of evolving. There should not be any deliberate attempt to suppress. Most of the Buddhist monks, their sort of a discipline is so much, and most of them get either deranged, and those who come out of the monastery, they all turn into something very different. Despite the fact Buddhism is such a great concept and a great religion, you will find a lot of turmoil in the countries, wherever it is still there and all, because of this type of too much of a suppressing and all. It has to be natural being. It's flower has to flower itself. It doesn't have to be putting fertilizer, adding this and all. Because the next time it will not give the same flower. When it flowers in its own natural course with the natural nourishment, it is something different. The everyday experience will have to be natural nourishment for us. This is exactly the concept we try to bring about, because this is one concept which is very very important for us to consider this. In this only we are seeing this Turiya. See, in the Turiya, when we said, this is we don't have to go about it. What happens is in Turiya, we are trying to get the awareness every time. We are progressively we are taking it and all. One of the thing why we are doing the meditation also, Om, when we say the Om, actually it is already existing in the cosmos. It is reverberating. We are not able to listen every day on our day-to-day basis in this earth. But when you go into meditation and all, even without anyone telling Om or even without anyone reciting Om, you will be able to hear. See, this once again, you will be hearing that, as it is and all. That Om, when you recite, when you are trying to replicate Om, it is all, the entire sound box is working. In all other letters, in all other syllables, in all other things, whatever you are taking, only part of your sound box and the entire knobby and the entire energy is working. When you are doing that, it has to, since it is coming from knobby, it is just like a Kundalini Shakti, that is coming towards, your Sahasrara. So towards that. So once you are reciting that, slowly when you are concentrating on that and concentrating on your breath, that is your inhaling and exhaling, once you constantly follow that, the slowly thought disappears. You don't get any other thought for that moment at that moment. That is the purpose with which we are trying to have. This is one cautionary thing we wanted to bring about. This is normally has been emphasized by all the seekers and the gurus. And in this context only we are discussing Turiya now. We have seen, because Nanta Prajnaha, na Anta Prajnaha, na Bahi Prajnaha, no Bayata Prajnaha, no Prajnana Ganam, na Pragyam, na Apragyam. We have seen all these things. We have also seen how does it mean. Huh? Okay. Is it okay now? When you are having all these things, see, we went into about, because all neti not, and when we said adrishtam, avyavaharyam, agrahyam, alakshanam, achintyam, avyopadeshyam, ekatme pratyayasharam, and prapanchopasamam. This is what we have seen till now. All these things, when we said, adrishtam, it is not visible and all, it is not visible when we are having this body, mind, and intellect senses. Otherwise, it will be available. See, in other words, it means it is available to those who have liberated themselves and those who have become muktas. How you are going to become muktas? Muktas is when you are having the awareness, when you are breaking the barriers, what we said, when you naturally evolved, when nothing is going to matter, everything, whatever comes is okay, that you will be accepting it, but nothing is, you are not going to be seeking after. Without that, you are not going to be miserable. Once that comes, that is the time, when you slowly be getting into the spiritual mode of getting towards Turiya. So once you get into that, you will be taking everything, as a sort of, the offering from the God, and what you are getting, because, and then whatever you are doing is, you are doing as per your duty, because without any expectations you are going to do, because you have already seen whatever you have done with the expectations, you have gone through that and all. So when we have seen the Prapanchopashamam last week, we explained, because it is that whatever the world is offering, we are trying to take. Once you exhaust your sort of a longing for any of the things, any of the particular thing. See, normally we go to Banaras, we leave something which is very close to us. Normally, I think everyone tries to leave whatever is easier for them to leave, but normally you are supposed to leave what is really you would like to. So that means, you are giving up the desire for that particular thing in the thing. It's not deliberately. Once you have taken firm, because you have so far enjoyed it, you have taken it. It's not going to matter to you just because you have not taken it and all. But then once in a while, when mind says, because why should I not, you make an exception. Maybe once or two, you may make an exception. After some time, you will also be fed up with it. Once I have taken a decision, let me do that. It is like that. So with this only, because that entire Prapanchopashamam, another bigger important concept is, are you getting any disturbance in the voice? Prapanchopashamam, another thing that is coming about is, whenever, you are thinking, the part of the world and then you are doing it and all, you are always with someone's grace only you are doing every day and all. How to get his grace? The Ekatmya Pratyasharam and Prapanchopasamam. When we are doing everything, once the feeling comes, yes, as someone is helping me to do everything and someone is giving his grace to do everything, because of which I am able to do, then, that me and mine, will go off. That is where, finally, whatever you are doing, to liberation is me and mine will have to go off. Me and mine will not go off, because the ego, minimum ego is required for you to live in this life. But the ego should not take you to a great length. That's what we are doing. In the Prapanchopashamam and Ekatme Pratyasharam, once you have a total faith into someone who is getting it done, that will really be guiding you, because initially, because you may think, I have to do this, and I have done that, because of that, I am suffering. I could not do that, because of that, it has not happened. Without these things, it's bound to happen. After all, there are a series of things we learn to do in our life. To give up that, what happens is, because this feeling, not only once you have a strong, the addiction, so adherence to someone is getting it done by us, most of your issues will be resolved. There was one particular incident that was quoted by one Vemu Joshi. He is from Karnataka. He is from the northern side of the Karnataka. He was in the army of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose during the before the freedom and all. He took, he was a very revolutionary person. He said, we will have to get the freedom only through, fighting the British, not otherwise. He joined, and he was in Japan. And when he was in the Indian National Army, INA of Subhash Chandra Bose, and there was a big explosion of a particular flight, which was coming from somewhere, and suddenly it exploded in a forest, dense forest in Japan. They couldn't identify where it has happened, where it has fallen, how to and all, because they don't know the topography of entire Japan. They have to take the help of some local people, and then they went and tried to find. They had to go very deep into the forest, and the entire the plain was strewn all over in various parts. They couldn't even locate even one single survivor. Finally, this Vemu Joshi, who is one of the committed commanders of INA, he said he will not give up. He will go and see wherever it is there, at least even a couple of survivors are there he has to get, and most of them are from different nationalities. It was during Second World War, and as they were proceeding, suddenly they couldn't find, and they could find only the luggages and other things and all. As they were about to return, it was about in the dusk, evening time, they heard a wailing of a small child. She was crying, young child, maybe about less than 2 years, 1.5, 2 years. And then they were trying to find out there is with some light, they went there and found a small girl, she was lying and crying for her mother. She was also traveling in that flight, it seems. And she couldn't speak the language, she's from a different nationality. And they got surprised when they couldn't locate, finally they could get this particular girl and young child, she's crying and she's not able to tell what and all, not they were able to communicate to her and all. But what has happened, she was lying down. When they saw her body, there was not even a scratch. She is because it was surprising for them, because in those days aircraft were not very sophisticated. If there is a crash, it will have to be smithereens. You will not be able to locate even a piece. So after that, they were wondering, how come, this girl is there. I think maybe whether she has got someone or by the side and all. They couldn't locate anyone. Finally, I think she was lying on her, a book was there. And the just open book was on her chest and all. They tried to remove and all. This Vemu Joshi out of he was a lieutenant colonel although in that Yani. He tried to find it. The last this the Gita, that sloka was there. Ananyan chintayanto mam jana paryupasate tesham nityabhi yuktanam yogatshemam vahamyam. That was the book lying on. She is not from India. She is from different nationality. Someone must have traveled that, I think, because in that crash, that book must have fallen on her chest and all. And they finally retrieved her, and because she was from a Swedish national and all, some translators and all, they helped, and finally they could identify. And luckily, one of her parents was still alive, because they couldn't communicate. Finally, they did, and all those things. He said, in such a situation where no survivor is possible, finally they saw a small child, and she didn't have even a scratch. They were surprised. How come, she couldn't? It's not such a sophisticated aircraft and all. So he has written entire thing in his biography called Sainik Uvacha. He was a Sainik in Indian National Army. He wanted to write a book. It is in Kannada. Those of you who are knowing Kannada, maybe trying to, because locate this book and see, because he has given a lot of incidents and all, it seems. It is one of the incidents. It was narrated by a person, because when he said, what happened in INA during those days and all. That what happens is, the child is innocent. She doesn't know. Someone was traveling with. She was telling, because okay, because, someone will always keep. She just cried because when she didn't understand who are all these people, they all look different, not the native of her own land. Finally, they could identify her, bring her back and all. They said, because how can a small child could survive without even a scratch in those miserable circumstances, the deadly crash. And he said it is really, something, till then, he was not a very great believer in Sanatana Dharma and mantras, Upanishads and all. So that brought him again, because then I could start believing something is possible. And how come for all the things, Bhagavad Gita's book with that same page should be fallen on her chest and should be available is a very peculiar circumstances. We may consider, it's all coincidences. Someone must have carried it in fate of fallen and all. As we said, coincidences are not coincidences, co-creating incidences. What is in your mind and brain, what is in your subconscious, that all gets into that, finally it fructifies and materializes. So this basic point what we are telling is, once the psychology and psychoanalysis of the Western world has said, you are carrying lot of complexes, you are carrying lot of bundle of insecurities and everything and all. Our great rishis, they have also analyzed, because they know part of it. Whatever they have found out, be it Simon Freud or Adler or Carl Jung, everything is correct, but they are partly correct. But our rishis, they are also great psychoanalysts and psychologists. When they said, whatever is there, what you have, your desires, suppressed desires, or which has not materialized as, all these things also come as a dream in Swapnasthana. Not only your waking realities and impressions, latent impressions of your mind, whatever you are trying to seeking to be, because you might not have had, because someone might be wanting to be a geologist, when geology is not a subject, which most of the people may not be going in for now. But he might have, by quick of incident, he might have done something and become a software or someone, which is the common in thing now. But if he still want to know, I would someday, because he is interested in Jurassic Park and all those Precambrian, Proterozoic zones, how the Earth has evolved. If he has interest, it might be there and all. Maybe if he continuously has it, if it comes in his dream, if it is a passion, he will certainly find one day some means. He may be doing some software connected with the geology, or he may be going into the places where he can do the things and all. It will all come. This come true, and this is what, not only that, in our Sanatana Dharma we have said, it is the Guru is very important, because Guru is the only Sula Shutmataka Keranantara Karanam Paripalanam. He is the one taking you through the entire, whatever, the entire way of life, he is guiding you. What is it happens when it happens? So when you have to exhaust the entire prarabdha karma in this birth, when you are when you have to exhaust a prarabdha karma in this birth, let us assuming there is a catastrophe that is supposed to be happening, or it is perhaps as per the prarabdha karma something was to happen. It is said in our Upanishad and in the experiences of the great sons, sometimes when you are leading such a spiritual life and you are trying to become perfect, your dream, you will get all sorts of unwanted incidents. All these catastrophes will come in your dream. Sometimes something as if you are going, something else is happening, all those things will come. They say because of the Guru's that entire grace and the grace of the Paramatma, the incident doesn't happen, it happens only in your dream. If incident happens, you get into, your whatever you got a latent impression which would have come into your Swapnasthana. Instead of that, what is happening in the dream, your prarabdha karma gets exhausted. Something, which is supposed to, undue incident, which is supposed, uncertain incident just to happen, it will not happen because it is already get exhausted as a prarabdha karma in your dream. So the dream and Sushuptasthana, when you are not in the Dehabhimana, when you are not having the senses of your organs and when you are into that, that great thing that happens by virtue of the Guru's grace and your own total involvement and commitment. And when you are in the meditative stage to learn everything and all, most of the things are warded off by happening these type of indicative instances. Nothing great happens to happen to exhaust your prarabdha karma. That is one thing. When it happens, your belief will still grow. See, once you become more open-minded, more elevated. Once you become more elevated, it takes you to the highest pinnacle of the liberation. So that is what the Prapanchopashamam and the Ekatmya Pratyasharam it says. And the next point it sings Shivam. Shivam is the bliss without any sort of dukkha. It is unblemished, pristine, pure bliss. It is only bliss, nothing other than the bliss. This is called Shivam. The Shivam is the one which is a concept elaborately expressed in various concepts. There is one scripture is there called Ribu Gita. Ribu Gita is about Shiva Ragasya. It is the Shiva Purana, part of it. That document is not very popular, in the other parts, but it is very, very sort of taken in and elaborately discussed and in fact elaborately propagated by Ramana Maharshi. So the Ribu Gita has got sort of a phenomenal effect, on the sadhana or seeker. How you have to sort of get away from the thought process, everyday thought process, so that you can continuously evolve into a great being. Ribu is the one who is evolved into a great rishi, and from Ribu Pada only one becomes a big rishi. In fact, I didn't take much interest in this scripture. I got to know because my grandson was named Ribu. I was trying to find what is this Ribu, because the choice of the name was by his parents. But then I tried to wanted to find out what exactly is this. So when I went into that, then I saw that Ribu Gita is a great scripture, and it has got a particular Advaitic proposition in that to totally come out of your elevate yourself. Ramana Maharishi has insisted on learning that Ribu Gita, and in fact there is one chapter 26 of Ribu Gita. That is what he has asked all his followers, seekers. He has got it translated in Tamil, and he also got because one N.R. Krishnamurti Iyer, who was the professor of physics in American College Madurai, who was a great follower of Ramana Maharishi, he has also translated that in English. If you go to website, you will see the Ribu Gita. That purpose, there he has described fully what this Shivam. Shivam is such a blissful concept. The state, in which you will not have anything to long for, anything to worry for and all. Because as it is said, so since we are trained to conform to the ways of the world and society, conformation, is a, they say in spiritual, in the meditative world, they say it is cowardice. If you are conforming, cowardice in the sense, you will have to be a natural self. You should not have any barriers. So that is the real courage, your valor. So to put up, to everyone's comfort, you have to deal with so many people. And when you are dealing with bureaucrats, you will talk in their language. When you are talking to a politician, you will be long, because that is how you will have to survive in the world. But over a period of time, what happens? It will become your second nature in the subconscious, and you will not be able to bring about your own nature. So unless your own nature, nichocha bhavam gataha, it flourishes, you will not be able to evolve and get liberated. That is what this Ribu Gita has said very greatly onto that. So in that Shivam, that is exactly the concept of Shivam. Shivam, because there is one Shivastuti, which was written by Narayana Panditacharya, who is the one who has written the biography of Sri Madhvacharya. So because basically the Madhvacharya is the saint, he got his father, Trivikrama Panditacharya, was a follower of another concept. In this Brahmavada, they used to call it. It was something like Advaita and all. He had a debate running for over 15 days. Debate in the sense, the classical, the interpretation of Vedas, Upanishads and all. Finally, Panditacharya, and he became his Sishya. The Narayana Panditacharya is the son of Trivikrama Panditacharya. He is the one who wrote the biography of Madhvacharya. Since they were all originally, because in all gods are same, whatever name you call it. Etymologically, finally, they all refer it to the Brahman. Whether you call it Shiva, Vishnu, Brahma, this name, that name, everything, whatever you call it, finally it all conveys to one particular Brahman who is the finally controlling your consciousness and your action entire world. So therefore the name doesn't have anything at all. But then, in this context only he has written a Shivastuti beautifully, bringing about, that Sputam, Spatika Samharam, because it is, once you recite that mantra itself, it is so great. I think you can see Narayana Panditacharya's Shivastuti, you can hear in this YouTube also. It's a beautifully done by the Vidya Bhushana and others also they have done. It clearly tells how the the Baba is evolving in your mind. So likewise, the Ribu Gita and this great concepts are there. So that Shivam, once you attain, perhaps you will not be looking for anything else, because it will not allow you to go anywhere. You got whatever you wanted to get. That Shivam is the one, finally this Turiya stage gives. This is where, they said, Turiya, the Turiya is being described as a Shivam also. After Shivam, they said Shantam. Shantam, Shantakaram, Bhujagasayanam, Padmanabham, Suresam. Shantakaram is full of peace. There is no agitation, no disturbance. Till such time we carry our complexities, insecurities, we will be agitated. Because they will not be allow us to behave in our normal way. Because when you have to work against your own passions, desires, and your insecurities, you will feel disturbed. But once we open up, once we have a natural being of ourselves, we will not be disturbed. That is why the Shantam is very, very great. Shantam, because some of the acharyas, some of the Shantananda is a very common name in a lot of the sannyasis have. Shantananda is at peace. They will not get agitated by anything, because even they had a problem, most of them had disturbances. Those who had Shantam, they had every time a disturbance. It is some sort of a way of the world, it has happened. The Shantam, there is one Bhagavata Purana, there is one small story is there. A lady who was living, by the oldest profession of the world, because she has to live in this world, and she was also selling her body and living and all. And what happened over a period of time, the process of the profession was different, immaterial to her. She wanted to get as much wealth all these fellows are having. She felt, all these people, without, deserving, they are getting all the wealth in the world. Why can't I share, some of it? That's how, it came about. And she took she took the pride in she is able to get the wealth from everyone, because by doing her profession. One day she was not able to get any customers. In Bhagavatam the story has come. One day she didn't get customers, and she didn't why I am worried about someone is not coming in a customer, because my purpose was to get the wealth from everyone. Once I if I don't have the desire to have any wealth, and there is nothing that's going to happen, so I should be able to I should be able to live anyway as I would like to. So she got that, and finally she thought, okay, let me not go after that, let me think. And tomorrow onwards I will not be taking up this profession, I don't want any more wealth. Within a moment she got total bliss in her mind. Why I have been doing all these days? So I have been doing just because that has been told to me. But now, once I have realized this is not going to have any meaning to me, I need not have to go after this. Are you able to hear me? Yeah.
Your video is not there.
Yeah, that's right. I need not have to go after that. And then she realized it's like, because like Ramana Maharishi what said, it's this much time I wasted my entire life thinking, taking pride in taking others' wealth. Now I have realized I don't need anyone's wealth. I have got something more than that. Shantam Samipe Ramanam Radipratam Vittapratam Nityamimam Vihaya. The Ramanam in the sense the greatest Ulladanaithilum Ulloliyaga Ulindilum Anmave, what Bharati said. You are getting such a great light, bliss, and you don't have anything. That Shivam, what she got that. Once I get that, I don't have to worry about it. Shantam Samipe Ramanam Ratipratam Vittapratam Nityamimam Vihaya. She gave up that. And she has become a greatest bhakta. Her name is Pingala, and she became one of the Rishikas. She evolved into Rishikas. So the point here is, every sinner has a past, every saint has a past, every sinner has a future. It is not that, it's not possible if someone, I have not lived like this. People may feel, I didn't do Sandhya Vadana all these days. And some people may feel by virtue of their profession and their living in other places, they might not have done, because whatever even what the karmas they have to do and all. You don't have to worry about it and all. The day you realize you have started doing it, with the full focus on your mind, nothing is required. You are totally into this and all. You can really be happy about it. By God's grace, you have been brought into this. So far, you didn't have the God's grace and circumstances were not favorable to you. Now you are able to do that. That's why Chinmayananda used to say, because some people used to come and tell him, sir, you are telling all great things, but people who are coming to you all are rogues and rascals. He asked him, you mean to say the hospital will get only healthy people? They will get only sick people. So like I am I am giving everyone a knowledge to get redeemed and go further. I will be surrounded by that only. That is my job. They will only come to me. That is natural. I don't expect a man who knows everything. Why should it come to me at all? It is like this. So therefore, at any point of time, once you take a decision, that okay, today onwards I have to do. You are passionately involved. That is why, every day when you have to take a new version of ours, the conviction will have to come about. Like the Pingala in Bhagavata Purana, what he has said. It's the same thing what happens in that. This is Satyam Shivam, and the next point is Advaitam. Advaitam has got because it's a philosophy is also called Advaitam, Dvaita. And here also the word that is used Advaitam. Here the word usage is in a different context. The philosophy Advaita, what is done is, it is non-duality. It is non-duality is also incorrect. Non-secondness. You are nothing but consciousness per se. Till such time you are living in this world, indulging in this world, you are a jiva. The moment you understand, that you are part of the same consciousness, which is enlightening the entire world, you will not have any interest in these things, because once you have taken a PhD, you will not be interested in going to LKG. So once you understand, come to that concept, once the very understanding is good enough, you have become liberated. In Advaita, that is the concept. And Dvaita is said, because he is independent, we are all dependent. Because some power is there, whether you call it consciousness, Paramatma, or Vishnu, and all. Because in this particular Upanishad, when the entire the Mangalacharana was there, because Srimad Madhvacharya, he gives Purnananda Shakti Pratana Nityam Avyayam. Shakti Pradam Nityam Avyayam. Purnananda, because he is Purnananda Rupa. Because you cannot be able to define any. He is full of knowledge, he is full of bliss and all. He is the one, like whether you call it consciousness or the superpower, which is bringing about into you. Once you understand that you become liberated. So once you have become liberated, in the sense, you will not have any sort of a meaning to any of the things what is happening to this world, but you will be living. You will be living comfortably in the normal way. You will be enjoying everything comes in your way of life as it comes. You will not be longing for anything, and you will not be unduly going after anything, and you will just live by what it comes and what it goes. You will not be bothered also if something goes out of your hand or something like that. It happens. It's a worldly way. You cannot be Jagratasthana. It will happen like that only. So this Advaitam is something which we try to, because you are not able to get the direct knowledge. By indirect knowledge, you are getting something like that. If you are getting Advaitam, that is the one, because we are able to, you are trying to infer through some other means and get a knowledge about a particular vastu, it need not necessarily be correct. So for that, we need some examples to prove how Advaitam, how it comes and all. So one of the common examples, that is giving in Advaita philosophy is mistaking the rope to a snake. So in the dark, semi-darkness, even a rope, which is there, you may be mistaking it as a snake, but otherwise it's a rope. It's a common, but otherwise there are a lot of examples that is coming about in this world. See, what is happening is sometimes, something happens, you don't get a particular, so you think, this is somehow you will have to get that particular thing. It could be electronic equipment or anything, which is your helpful instrument and all. It is going to give you all sorts of, sort of helpful, your life will be wonderful once you have that equipment. Somehow, you get that equipment, finally it doesn't happen. It has its own problems. You will have to deal with it. So basically your desire gives you that impression that whatever, once you get it, everything will be hunky-dory, but it's not hunky-dory. Advaitam. And because you are getting the indirect knowledge, because your desire, and someone said he is getting all the satisfaction out of that, you are getting it not by your own experience. Once you get by your own experience, you will not be. For instance, someone says don't do this, today is Tuesday, if you should not do anything good on Tuesday, doesn't matter. But then you may have a board meeting only on a Tuesday. You will have to take all the major decisions in that. You cannot go with that impression, because then that has said, and some fellows have, some chairman has got a habit of postponing the meeting to the next possible opportune day, and so. But you can't do everything. But nowadays, the time is fixed. Within a quarter, you have to have a meeting. You cannot be postponing it. You cannot be doing it and all. You got to do it, and you will have to go with a full conviction. You have it. Once you have a meeting on Tuesday, have all the decision, it goes through. That goes off. That is Advaitam. Till such time, you thought, if I do it on Tuesday, it will not happen and all. This is like that. And the wonderful incident, because I would like to quote here, is I have sent the Swami Manaksha's speech sometime before. I do not know how many of you had occasion to listen to that. In one of his postings in Assam, when he was a brigadier or something like the early days, he was in a post, and he was a very disciplinarian. Maneksha was a very disciplinarian, and there was a complaint about one particular orderly, who used to serve, and he was also, I think, because Lance Nayak or someone, and so he thought, immediately he gave him orders, because you tell him, I am going to dismiss him from service. As a general, after all, he can do it, it is in his powers. That Lance Nayak, is also some Sardarji. He is some Singh, Yuvraj Singh or some Singh, a very strong man. He said, "हम उसको गोली मार दूंगा, ये कैसे मुझे निकाल देगा?" He gave immediately told people around him, "Okay, इसको करने दो, हम उसको गोली मार देंगे." And then immediately they came to know and issued him a suspension order, and court martial was issued by his subordinate officers. And finally, in the club, someone came, and when he was coming out of the club, it was told to Maneksha, and this is what happened. You said, you will remove him, and he has said, he will shoot you. And now we are going to have a initiate a court-martial proceedings. And the court-martial proceeding at that level is a dismissal and all sorts of things. You will not get any pension, this and that and all. Maybe he will be put into some sort of a punishment also. He said, Maneksha said, "Kuch nahi hoga." He asked him to bring, that FIR, that what they were to file and all. He just tore it, called that fellow also, that Singh. In front of him, he tore that. They want to give you this FIR. You said you will kill me if I dismiss you. And this is the FIR. I'm not considering this. Just he tore it off in front of him, just gave him a friendly slap. You are going to be my orderly today. You are going to bring my morning tea as well as, for water, warm water for shaving. He went about. And he said, I boldly said in front of him, but Maneksha says in that speech, my teeth was chattering. My knees were also limping. I don't know whether I have done the right thing. He said at the moment, if that fellow, if a mad Sardarji comes and kills him, because no one can do anything. Anyway, he said he had a confidence. So he stored the FIR in front of him, and because how psychologically was to say, see, psychology and psychoanalysis is very important in every aspect of our life. So he went there and all, and that fellow came as an orderly. And Maneksha, he went to sleep, but of course he was keeping his fingers crossed. Let me see how this fellow behaved, because he's really a tough fellow, it seems. He's one of the Jat Sardar, from really from Batinda type of a person. And next morning he brought the tea and well as warm water and gave it to him. And he said, "Kaise ho?" So everything, "ठीक है, so सब ठीक कर दो and dress, dress सब ready कर दो, अभी थोड़ी देर में निकलेंगे." Then he went off. Then he quoted that, You see, if I had gone with this FIR and other things, not only that fellow is capable, but he can't apply his mind, because it is only his insecurity. He said, "Usko goli mar dunga." The fellow who says, "Want to kill you," he will not say, "Goli mar dunga." He had the insecurity to tell. So the insecurity was keeping him well. But he was bold enough to do that. Finally, he said he happened to be one of the best soldiers, and he got further promotions and all. He gave that particular incidents in life. So likewise, every period of time, everything what we happens, the Advaitam is understanding something not to be something. Advaitam is at that point of time you are conditioned by your mind. What you don't understand as it is, and you go by your misunderstanding, that is Advaita. So Advaitam in the sense he can't be understood by circuitous route. Your normal way of thinking. You will have to go beyond that. If we would have acted against the soldier, we would have given a FIR to him, and court-martial proceedings would have gone, lot of bad blood would have gone, and maybe there could be some mini mutiny would be there, because he has got his own supporters also. But whereas once he knows the psychology, that is Advaita. Great leaders they are leaders because they know how a mind works. They have gone into the psychology of a person and they are acting on that. Advaitam. So because this is the concept which has come. Chaturtam manyante sa atma savigyeha. This is the fourth, because we have seen three. Jagradasthana, Swapnasthana, Sushuptasthana. Chaturtam manyante sa atma savigyeha. The manyante, Soyamatma Chatushpat. We have seen in the second mantra. The Atma, because the Atma which is the Paramatma, he has got the four legs, through which he gives us the experience of this world. Finally, when you are getting liberated, when you are going, when you are breaking your barriers, when you are opening up yourself, you are liberated super soul of yourself. At that point of time, he gives you that Aduttam Chaturtam Manyante Saatma Savigyeyaha, and he is the one he has to be known. For that only this Turiya we are trying to do this. So in this concept only we were trying how to get ourselves liberated in this context of our everyday living in this world. This meditation and all we are trying to do, because we can't, because whatever has been said, we will not be able to go into the dhyana, dharana, samadhi and all, because they are another way of doing it. That also can be done. In our limited way, what we can do is to bring about the awareness, to break our barriers, totally give up our inner core, open it up and make it as free as possible. Once you have the awareness that whatever is happening by the virtue of the grace, and what you are able to give is, by virtue of the power given to you, that gives you that. That is what, this entire mantra in sum and substance brings about. But while bringing about, because the only thing, we will have to keep it in mind is the normal way, when we say we will have to give up mine and me, how we have to give up? Because some ahankara is responsible and which is required for us to identify. It is only like identity card. Last week we said, just you take your identity card to enter. That's all. Afterwards, it's of no use. You put it in the box and then you go about it and all. But then you get into a lot of ego traps when you want to give up my mind. So once you say, I am doing this and all, you get into some sort of a spiritual bypassing, because you are trying to get some shortcuts. And, because unless you go through the entire world and develop yourself every day into a new version, there is no shortcut by which you can do all those things. You can't do that. So we will talk about the ego traps. There are about 7 to 8 ego traps which we will have to give up. In the sense, we will have to be calm, we will have to be very cautioned about it. Because without that, see, we are giving up ego means you will be giving up so many other good qualities in you also. That should not happen. So these cautionary things are given so that the concept is understood in perfection. We are able to proceed further into this. I think today I will try to conclude, because the ego trap and the conclusion of the entire, the mantra number 7, we will take it in the next class. And today we will have a short meditation. And before we go into the meditation, and I will just give a couple of small sort of tips, which has been given by some of the great, like Krishnananda of Sivananda Yogashrama, and a lot of people have experienced, they have given that. They say when you are telling Narayana, you just tell, because Narayana in normal way, with observing, your breath, exhaling and inhaling once you take. Once you slowly start telling, because one matra is just take your, the two fingers, the tip of the fingers, you just take it around the knee, one round, normal round, and do this. That is one matra. So one matra, once you do it, that's a om, you can say it in one matra also, two matra also, and three matra also, when you are doing it yourself. Now we will be going by, what is being chanted. So three matras when you do, that will be a sort of perfect om. It is not too long a om, it is not a too medium a om, too short a om. When you do that, it totally takes, because once you chant three times, your thought comes to some sort of a standstill. When you repeat it for 12 times, once you have it, once you are able to concentrate on your breath, that means you are almost being away from the thought. You are able to get into your inner core. You are able to free yourself. That is what, because these are all the suggestions they have given. They have undergone all these great masters. They have gone through their entire thing. They have given that. Once you recite that, and whenever you recite that, and also every one of us will find a different experience. See what we will be having experience, will be different and all. One thing you will find, you will be at total peace. Nothing will affect you. And nothing, no disturbance. Even if you are having something, you will be able to get out of that. And once you recite it, your longing to recite Om will be there. It's not that you will be doing it as a matter of purpose, or you will be doing it as a matter of sort of a routine. You have been doing it. You will be doing it with total focus on that. It will give you, I think, maybe at times you will be finding it. You will do it more often than what you would like to. So this is exactly they have given us. And they also say don't get into any of the specific modes of chanting fast, chanting this and doing that. And normal breathing. No, you don't have to take extraordinary efforts and all. And it will automatically be giving you the resultant, the calmness. The calmness you try to sort of enjoy. See, the calmness, it is nothing but the silence reflected in the form of Om. The Om is nothing but reflecting your inner silence, which otherwise, you would be able to get by a lot of meditation and other things and all. So we will just recite the Sahana Bhavatu and go to the meditation, and then we will recite the other one. Sahana Bhavatu, Sahanau Bhunaktu, Sahaviryam Karavavahai, तेजस्विनावतीतमस्तु मा विश्विदावहैः Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Now we will commence the meditation. Sit in your comfortable position. Sthira Sukham Asanam. You don't have to make any special effort. Wherever you are sitting, wherever you are comfortable, you should not feel any sort of disturbance. That's all. Your body should be comfortable. You should be able to observe your inhaling and exhaling. Slowly you can close your eyes and just observe inhaling and exhaling and concentrating on to the Om chant, which will be coming to your ears. Just focus on your nostrils. Just observe. Slowly feel the cool air going into your nostrils. You will feel the warm air going out of your nostrils. You become part of your own self, Laya. You will feel the entire Om is reverberating through your being. removing all the blockages, insecurities, complexes. You are flowering into your own being, pristine, pure, most effulgent. You become part of the nature. Keep observing your exhale and inhale with cold air getting in and warm air going out. You affirm yourself that you are free from all encumbrances. You are into your own super being. You are in direct connect to the Brahman. Slowly keep your awareness. Bring into your nostrils. Keep your awareness onto nostrils. Keep both your fingers clasped. Take your hands to your heart. Slowly. You are closer to the Paramatman residing inside you. You just affirm yourself that you are totally an effulgent being. Keep your awareness on nostrils. As and when you are comfortable, slowly rub both your hands Take it to your eyes. Keep it warm on your eyes for a couple of minutes, and then you can totally come out of it.
इस लॉकडाउन बर्तन धोना होगा आसान और फास्ट।
When you are comfortable, you are open the eyes, not otherwise. Carry this bliss, secure this bliss and savor this bliss. This will continue to your dining table, for your lunch, and through the day as it is, until our next week. Hopefully, I think we will have this is in a different frequency today. What we have done, it is to instill calmness and the remnant of blockages, if anything is there, to remove, and insecurities, if anything is there, to remove that. And hopefully, I think I hope you would have found it quite peaceful to yourself. And with this, I think you should enjoy the day. If you have any suggestions or how you felt, if you would like, you can tell me that. Anyway, we will try to plan to have a meditation, on maybe mornings, at least 3 to 4 days in a week, if not every day. We will plan it and tell that. I think morning, which is convenient time to all of us, depending upon our comfort, we will do that. With this, I thank you very much. Hope you have enjoyed it. I think Shankar and
Yes, we have enjoyed it.
you could get through.
I think yes, it is.